Hi, welcome to Living the Liminal this week. It's Kristi Peck. This is season 10. So we are starting a new season, episode 72. That just kind of sounds so much fun to me, of course. I'm excited. Lots of new energy has been coming in for me lately. I've been on this journey myself. So everything I really share with you is kind of like a compression of or an impression of what I'm learning on my own journey and in my own life, and just promising always to show up and just be real. I'm a crier, so you never know. Stuff comes out of me when I'm not even expecting it to, and emotions. As an empath, I'm learning to really develop some truth and agency around accepting that. I don't know how you are, and if you're listening and you feel like or maybe it was your programming that said emotions weren't so great. I tend to love emotions probably more than I love anything else. They sometimes make me laugh. They just feel so fully alive for me. And my journey has been just really welcoming them in, accepting them, owning the fact that sometimes I don't understand where they come from, or maybe I'm kind of shocked, like, oh my God, where did that come from? And just really learning to just sit in it all and just be like, whoa, this life has so many layers. It has so many dimensions. It has so many facets to it. Whenever you think you know something, then all of a sudden, like in a split second, you don't freaking know anything. And you're just sitting there like, huh. And I'm kind of just allowing a lot of that in and accepting, wow, there's so much I don't know. And I'm a book lover, and I tend to, I don't know if you're like me here, but I'm gonna own this secret. I buy books because they sound interesting, they sound amazing. And then I don't even freaking want to really read them. I just want to hold them. And it's like the wisdom just comes into me exactly what I need. Or sometimes I just open up. So I tend to have like all of these books. And I'm going to be honest with you. At one point, I heard someone say, back when I was teaching and I was in this workshop for like race and culture and economic status. And we were learning about diversity and learning how we could really connect and interact with, all the students and be more inclusive in our classrooms. And I remember one of the speakers, I don't even remember who it was, saying something about like evidence of a lot of books in a household represents something. And I don't really think that holds true anymore, because now we have other ways of like acquiring knowledge, right? We have podcasts, we have workshops, we have the telephone that people get on their phone and just read something. So they don't necessarily have the book. I mean, shoot, Audible is a business on its own, and you don't buy the book. You just read and listen. I mean, you listen to it. Kindle is all about reading it on, right? We have television. So I think so many things in our lives are changing. And that's really the attraction to this liminal space, is that, wow, you never really know. And even when you think you know, you really don't know. And it's ever changing, ever growing. And how can we really get excited about that and not be so afraid and constricted in that? So I'm in this really interesting place, and bear with me on every other one, because I know I've said that a lot, but I'm just feeling like that's just why we're really here, is how do we really find peace in this ever-changing, ever-growing world where, 1 minute technology says this, and then 2 minutes later, the technology has already changed. And how are you trying to learn about that? And so I'm just going to show up and I'm just going to talk. I've really decided to make that commitment where I'm just going to go and I'm going to talk, and I'm going to just let whatever comes in. Because, I'm a talker, I'm a crier, and here we go. So the other day, I decided, I don't know if you're like me, but what I really loved about the pandemic when we were in that lockdown is, oh my gosh, I just found so many incredible shows to watch, and like seasons of shows and things that I never knew before, because that's all you really had available, right? So now I'm like, I have this huge yearning inside of me, this longing for where are all those fancy shows that I wanted to watch again, and they're just not made yet. Like a new season's not made, or more episodes aren't made. And it's kind of a void in me, I'm going to be honest. And so the other day I decided, okay, I'm going to go to something I've never, like an older something, and just rewatch it. Years and years ago, I started watching the This Is Us series. I never finished it because we kind of swapped internet providers and all kinds of stuff on our TV. But I was watching the This Is Us series, and I went back to the very first season, and I've been like, watching it for a while now. And the other day there was this episode, and there was a statement made between the character Kate, and I don't even really believe, it's her ex-husband, Toby. Okay, they had a relationship, and then it was filled with divorce. But she says they're talking about, like, what's the purpose of their marriage? What was the purpose of their relationship? And she had said to them when they were signing their divorce papers, she said, Toby, I don't think that this is the end of our relationship, of our story. I believe that our story is going to still go on here together. We were brought together for a reason. We had these two incredible kids. Our story doesn't end here because our relationship ended. So this whole concept of relationship is this like human way that we define two people or two beings coming together, right? And Lord knows there's a whole lot of discrepancy, diversity, argument, defending how we define relationships, whether they're good or bad, equal or not. That's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is the reason why two experiences are brought together. An experience and a person are brought together. Two people are brought together in a relationship. Why is that? What's the purpose of that? There's this Japanese term called Ikigai, and it's spelled Ikigai, if you want to look it up. And it really has to do with that there's a reason for being. And so you and I are here as a reason for being. There's a purpose to everything that happens. And we are either running towards something or running away from something in everything we do. So, if you tend to run towards something, most often those equate to emotions like, fun and giddiness and excitement and love and peace and joy and all that good feeling stuff. Not always, though. Sometimes we're running towards something, and we're running with anxiety and fear and trepidation and concern and worry. So you can't always just think that everything is black and white or one way or the other. There's not just an automatic perception. Our perception are evolving, and there's depth to them, and there's all kinds of reasons for being in a situation or in a relationship. So in this series episode of This Is Us, Kate, years later, is getting married, and Toby calls her on the phone on the day of her wedding to a new man. And Toby says to her, Kate, do you remember what you said to me on the day we signed our divorce papers? And of course she says, yes, I do. I cannot forget what I said to you. And he says, I finally get it. I finally get it. Our story didn't end with our relationship ending. Our story is ever evolving, and we will always be in our stories together. And I think that it was such a beautiful statement to the way life consciously works. But here's the statement that really got me. She says to him, Toby, life would be much simpler if we could live it backwards. I mean, think about that. If we could live it backwards, if you could know what you know now, back when you were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, when you were a little kid, when you were in junior high, ooh, those years are hard. When you were in high school and the peer pressure and the social nuances that, afforded you to decide and determine how you show up if you could live it backwards. Well, here's the interesting thing. There is some way we can do that. I don't know if you realize that, but there is some way. I'm not saying, hey, go back into those terrible, heartfelt, emotional, painful experiences. Sometimes we have to, that's for sure. What I'm saying is, you have this incredible ability within your mind called the unconscious, determined by the ego. And the ego is nothing more than an energy or framework that keeps you in this unconscious mind place, okay, a space within you, within your mind, that governs kind of how you show up, governs what you do, what you don't do, how you say, how you relate to other people, how you interact with the world, how you see and perceive the world, all governed. And this unconscious is sort of like invisible in a way. Like you don't see it. You don't even know it's there. It's a part of you and you don't even know it. So just recently I had this experience that I wanted to share about because it was so incredible for me. And it was filled with so much awareness and really, really like authentic feeling and emotions were emerging from my body and my, just my knowing, my understanding. And so I went to visit a friend in New York City, and she ended up going on another vacation, and she graciously gave me her home for 2.5 days. So I had this 2.5 day period, never been in New York City by myself, had no idea how to navigate it around. It was really an authentic experience filled with, okay, this is an opportunity for you to have the autonomy to decide for yourself, to choose for yourself, to activate and actually engage in these things for yourself. And so I one day decided I wanted to go see a Broadway play. And I get on, I have to take the subway. So I have to navigate for myself, what subway are you what train are you taking? How are you getting there? It was about a 14-minute walk. What time do you need to leave? Making sure everything goes. I don't know the layout in New York City on my own. I've relied on other people every time I've gone there. So what's interesting is, as I'm even walking to get on the train station, to take the subway into Manhattan, a 14-minute walk, I am literally sweating. My heart is racing so much. I have tears welling up. I was so emotional because I was scared shitless. That one, I did not know what train to take. I was going to take the wrong train. I would end up in the wrong place. What if I didn't know where I was going? What if someone hurts me? What if I don't know what I'm doing here? I was gripping onto my phone so tightly that later that night, my arm was sort of hurting. Because I was relying on this Google map to tell me exactly where to go, how many stops, where to get off, what to do. I mean, it was this incredibly emotional experience for me, one that I knew I had to go through. So what's really interesting is, if you look metaphorically at the understanding of what a subway is, it really sort of represents this invisible reality with its own agency, its own understanding, its own way of thinking, right? So here I am having to get on a subway to take it to another place. I mean, it's a perfect representation of what we call the unconscious mind. And so here I am, and I'm scared because we don't know what we hold in the power of our unconscious mind to actually help us initiate and engage in a new way of living, or even just being aware of why we've done the things we've done, right? It's simpler to look back onto life and go, oh, that's why I did it. But in the moment, you don't know what's going to come through. So my experience had a whole lot of other stuff. And what all happened after that moment was not that important. What's important is that, and my point of sharing this story with you is that there is always this invisible reality playing a part in your life. It's not about, do I know how to get there or not? Do I know what to do? Living life perfect, having to make the right choices. It is about Can you, are you willing to just be aware of, there is an inner force within you that really is playing an influential nature into everything you do and how you do it. And are you willing to open your eyes wide, to feel all the feelings of every moment? Are you willing to take these experiences and these moments and allow them to be, to choose in the moment what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what feels good, what doesn't feel good? What, are you running towards something or are you running away from something? And can you just sit and be an observer? You have that also aspect of your mind that's very conscious, that has awareness, that has the depth to be able to hold the space for any challenge coming up. And are you willing to be in that space and just to take a look at your outer life and say, wow, this is really what this is. Really raising our consciousness. I believe we're living in a moment where our humanity is begging for some awakening, getting out of our slumbered states. And can we just take a look at why we each do what we do? And can we just take a look at, what do you really want? What are you wanting? What do you need? Because everything we do comes from this unconscious place, and the ego drives the unconscious. And it says, oh my gosh, I need to defend you. I need to protect you. I need to take care of you. I need to do this. The ego is there to move us from painful moments into pleasure. So the challenge for us is, if we're slumbering and we're not awake and we're unconscious, and that's all we're operating from with no awareness, then you're always in a state of chasing and proving and developing more evidence. So everything you do is like evidence, like I'm good, I'm like, I'm loving, I'm kind, I'm this, I'm that. That's not really a fulfilling way. And that's why a lot of people out there are unfulfilled in their life. So I guess what I really want you to just think about today is, how aware are you? Are you aware? Are you awake? Where are you awake in your life, and where are you a little more slumbered? How are you showing up in your life? How are you really developing an agency? Do you understand your true self? Are you welcoming of your true self? Are you pushing things away? What if you didn't push away? What if you didn't push away the past stories? What if you made life simpler? Okay. And we didn't live in the past, and we actually said yes to the opportunity to live moving forward. Take a different subway, take a different reality, right? And get to know this invisible part of you in a way, so that your relationships are better, your life experiences become what you want. You are creating it. You have this agency of the true self. You are reclaiming parts of yourself that you never knew existed. You're speaking up, you're being expressive, and your whole life just seems to be one bubble of the most awesome tasting chewing gum you've ever had. It's just fun. What if that was your life? What would you do today to live in the liminal and to really say yes to that kind of stuff? I am so glad you're here today listening. And you know what? I want for you to have those amazing things. I want for you to remember who you are. I want you to brave that confidence every day. I want you to courageously choose yourself and no longer choosing self-betrayal. It's not an option anymore for you. I want you to be the change you wish for yourself. Just do it yourself. How can you figure it out for yourself? I want for you to embrace growth. Growth is such a part of life. Evolve. How are you evolving every day? If you notice, you know what, I'm not the same as I was last week, then you know what? You're not welcoming in the parts of life that want to speak to you. Listen to them. Let those experiences speak into the bones of who you are. Expand your awareness. Just start noticing. It's really a superpower to just notice. Notice when you talk and interact and how it affects other people. Notice where you are. Notice why you choose the things you do. Have fun with it. It's like Pretend you're at a playground and you're just like, ooh, I'm seeing this and I'm seeing that and I'm seeing this. Just have fun with it. You know what? You are a beautiful soul. Be radically bold every day. I believe this is what's calling us as a humanity, as females, as women, as those of us who identify as women, as men, as those of us who identify as men, as male. I mean, it's a calling. Our society, our universe, our collective consciousness is calling us to rise to this higher level of boldness, to just be our true self. I love you. Peace out, my friends.